All right, the great thing is this set doesn't cost $4,000. In fact, it doesn't even cost much of the Woodstock price of $3,435. The Homemaker Plus 8 set is only $1,212. That's it. $1,200 for the Homemaker set. Who thought it was going to be a lot more? Why do you think it's going to be a lot more?
Because you said the value.
Because what was that? What I do?
You raise the value.
Build the value, right? The value's through the roof. So when you hit it with 1212, it's an easy decision to say what?
Yes.
When I just said 1212, how many of you had that feeling in your stomach of like, wow, that's cheap? Or like, this is going to be easy to sell? Who thought like this can be easy to sell? So what I just did with you all day, building the value and hitting you at the low price, is exactly what you do with your customers during your presentation. You build the value, present the price. How cheap is that? $12.12? Are you kidding me? That's a third of the price of Woodstock. It's a third of the price. How do we get away with that? How do we sell the Homemaker Plus 8 for $12.12? How is that even possible? No middleman. Economy of scale, good. Econ 101, good. Okay, but you cut out the middleman, right? So there's no middleman. If we were in stores, for sure it'd be $4,000. Like without a doubt, it'd be $4,000 if we were in stores. But because we're not in stores, it's only $12.12. No middleman, no markup at all. Plus, you make ridiculous commissions. You sell a Homemaker on your first demo tomorrow night. What did you just hit? Your $100 and your first promotion. And you're at 15%. Imagine giving yourself a 15% raise. Is there any other job where you can give yourself a 50% raise in an hour? Like, let's say you work at Wendy's and you're like on the fry machine, and you work there for an hour, and they're like, dude, you're good. Instead of $8, we're giving you $12 an hour now. Like, that just doesn't happen. Like, you sell a Homemaker and you give yourself a 50% raise, you're at 15% already. Is that cool? $12.12. That's ridiculous. Like, that's nothing. $1,200 for a set of Cutco is insanely cheap. You guys fired up for this? You're like, give me a piece of rope, give me a knife, let me get out there. Now do you see why everyone's selling so much? You were a little bit nervous when you thought it was $4,000, right? And you're like, this is going to be hard. It's a piece of cake. $1,200 is nothing. That's like crappy price, that's like price for like crappy knives for the best knives in the history of the world. Like, you realize that, right? It's like budget price for ridiculous money. It's like the price of a Honda for a Mercedes. All right. $12.12 paid in what? Which includes what? Free shipping. But most of our customers, how many of them? Take advantage of our 5-month interest-free investment option. This is going to blow your mind. Which is only $264 today and includes tax. So if they do it on the 5-pay, it's only $264 a month for 5 months. Is that insane or what? Here's what's cool about the Homemaker. Most of you in here can afford it. Michael, I know, can afford it. For a cup of coffee a day, he can afford a Homemaker set. For, like, seriously, most of you, with all the crap that you spend your money on, you don't even have a job, you don't own a home, you can afford the Homemaker, right? $264 a month. You're like, some of you are like, yeah, I probably could. I could probably swing that. I might have to give up Chipotle. I might have to give up Chick-fil-A for a month, but I could do it. If you can afford a Homemaker Plus 8 on birthday money and allowance, then your customers who work full-time and have a job, work full-time and have a house, they can afford it too, for sure. By the way, $264 is nothing. Do you know how much the average grocery bill is for a family of 4 in the United States per week? Do you know how much the average grocery bill is per week? Yeah, $300. Now, whose family does more than that? Whose family has like big grocery bills? $300 a week is the average grocery bill for a family of 4 in the United States. This is an extra grocery bill a month for 5 months. If they can afford food for their kids, they can afford a Homemaker. Everyone you're showing this weekend, everyone that you ever show, they can afford food for their kids, right? What else do you know that costs around $250, $300 a month? What other expenses do they have in their life that are $250, $300 a month?
Car payments.
Car payments, car insurance, what else? Mortgage, a couple $1,000s a month, right? What else?
Cell phone.
Cell phone bill, Comcast bill, utilities, water, sewage, all that stuff. Health insurance, life insurance premiums. Like, there are probably a dozen to 2 dozen expenses per month that the average family has. The average household spends somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 a month. That's the average expenses of a household. $6,000 and $10,000 a month in expenses. If you put $264 on somebody's credit card, any one of your customers, I don't care who it is, I don't care how much money they have, if you put $264 on somebody's credit card, they would never even notice. My rule of thumb, and I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you how cheap Cutco is, anything that's less than like $300 or $400, to me, it's like free. Because if I'm not gonna notice it at the end of the month on my credit card statement, it doesn't, like, I scan my, and there are like hundreds of things on my credit card statement at the end of the month. Anything that's like 100, 200, 300 bucks, I don't even notice it, right? Because it doesn't make a dent. Would you agree? Like, and all of your customers are in the same boat that I am. $6,000 to $10,000 a month, an extra $264, does that even make a dent? It's a drop in the bucket. Now, $264 is way cheap. Here's what's neat about Cutco. Every single person you show, they can afford it. Not everyone's gonna buy it, but every single person you show, if they own a home, they work full time, they could if they wanted to. So that's why when you ask for the sale, be confident, because you know they can swing it. Not everyone's gonna get it, but they could. Does that make sense to you guys? And you're like, some of you are like, well, if I could afford it, of course mom can afford it. Like, it's ridiculous. All right, by the way, 1212, if you put 1212 on my credit card, I wouldn't even notice. I wouldn't know. I would, if my accountant was like, Drew, what the heck is this charge for? I'd be like, did I buy knives? It's fine. Like, but otherwise, it would notice. Like, $1,200 is not a lot of money to a homeowner. Some of you spent $1,200 on stupid things that your parents freaked out of. You didn't even have a job. All right, good. 5-month interest-free investment option, which is only $264 a day. It includes what? Tax. And then it says write down investment option on paper and show the customer. So you're going to get a notebook tomorrow. It's called your wish list. On the right-hand side is going to be the referrals. On the left-hand side is the wish list. So you're going to get a notebook. Every customer gets their own page. And when you present the price, you always write down the price. So we write down 1212, we draw an arrow, and we write 264, and we circle the 264. Why do you circle 264? Because you want, it stands out. You want them to focus on the 264. 1212 might be too much all at once for some people, but 264 is really cheap. So you want them focusing on the 264 number. So we just do 1212, arrow, 264, circle it. All right. Visually, when you see that up there, doesn't it look so tiny? You're like, that's not a lot. For like the best knives in the world, 264, not a lot of money. You guys like that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The basic homemaker. I'm going to tell you the price of the basic homemaker. You're very rarely going to quote it, but this is only if they didn't want the table knives. You only say this price if they didn't like the table knives. A basic homemaker is $959 or $210 per month for 5 months. $959 or $210 per month for 5 months. And again, you only quote that if they didn't like the table knives, which is very rare. All right, here's where it gets really, really dirty. Dirty is a good thing. Okay? This is where it gets really easy, and you're just like, as soon as you hear this, you're gonna freak out, because this is why we sell so much Cutco, especially in our office. Oh, by the way, we sell more homemakers in our office than any other office in the company. We also sell more signatures, ultimate sets, and galley sets, and every other piece of Cutco, because we sell a lot more Cutco than everybody else. The buy now bonus. Buy now bonus means that they can get something for free as long as they get it right there on the spot. They can never get something for free later. They can only get free stuff if they get it now. Why do you think we incentivize them to get it right now on the spot? To guarantee the sale. If they don't buy it now, what is the chance they're going to buy it later? There's 0. It's impossible. Why? Because the value. Here's the price, here's the value. The value is at this point at the end of your demo. If they can't make a decision when it's here, how could they ever make a decision when it's here? Because as soon as you leave, the value starts dropping. The further the time passes, value drops. So if they're not sold on it now, they're never going to be sold on it here or here, and certainly not here. So we give incentive, a buy now bonus. So if they buy it now, they get it right on the spot, right there, and then they get free stuff. Okay? So Mrs. Jones, we have a bonus where if you buy now, I can give you a matching kitchen tool set, entertainer pack, or a pair of super shears for free. They get one of those 3 items for free as long as they get the homemaker set right there on the spot. You guys like that? Is that ridiculous?
Yeah.
But you guys remember what the kitchen tool set was? With like the ladles and the whisk, and you know, remember the entertainer pack is the gadgets up there, the box of gadgets, and then the shears. You guys obviously, everyone loves the shears. All right, when they say, okay, no, you have to ask for the order. So this is a very laid back way of asking. Mrs. Jones, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Would you like to try out the homemaker set today and receive your free what?
Yes.
And then you smile and what? Nod. Everyone smile and nod. Let me see your smile and nod face. And shut your face. Don't say anything. Okay, because here's the thing. If you start talking, it becomes high what? Pressure. Don't say anything. Smile and nod. and give them time. Some people will say yes or no right away. Joe's gonna have a customer that he's gonna say 12, and even before he says the 5-pay plan, they're gonna be like, yep, here you go, here's my credit card, that's super cheap, sign me up. And he's gonna be like, well, I can also give you something for free. Right? So some people say yes right away. Some people say no right away too. Most people, it takes a minute or two to decide. You know what the biggest complaint that we get from customers? For Cutco owners, the number one complaint we get is that they didn't buy enough when they first bought Cutco. They ended up buying either a smaller set or individual pieces when they really needed a set because the rep went down too quickly. Because the rep rushed, because the rep was nervous. We get that on a daily basis. Customers saying, well, I wish I got the whole set when I first started. You don't want to rush them, you want to give them plenty of time. Some people just takes a minute to think. Let me give you I'll give you a story. I had a customer, this was the Millers. It was my friend's parents from my tennis team in high school, and I did the demo. I asked them for the sale. I said, would you like to go ahead and get this set today? I smiled, nodded. I'm sitting across the table with them, and they're both Mr. and Mrs. Miller, and they were scary looking people. But I'm sitting there, I'm smiling and nodding, literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes of silence is an eternity. That's an eternity. I was so nervous, I was sweating bullets, and I was just sitting there smiling, nodding, and they're looking at me, they're looking at the knives. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything the whole time. They looked at me, they looked at the knives, they looked at each other, looked at me, looked at the knives, looked at each other, looked at me, looked at the knives, looked at each other, and then finally, they looked at each other, stared at each other in the eyes. They went like this. They said, "We'll get it." And I was like, "What just happened?" Like, does anybody's parents have that where they have like this, they can communicate without speaking? Like, has anybody have you ever gotten in trouble like that? Your parents didn't say anything, and then all of a sudden you get like smacked in the back of the head. You're like, "Where does that come from?" So, give them time. Give them time. Don't rush them. Just give them as much time as you need. And if they say yes, you say, "Great, congratulations. You're gonna love your what?" Be excited for them. Don't be the professional person that's like, well, congratulations. It's a very wise choice, Mrs. Jones. No, high five them, fist bump. They're buying the coolest knives ever. Hug it out. Like, do a dance. Like, it's cool to sell Cutco, and it's cool for them to buy. So don't be nervous. By the way, do you drink what? Yeah, and I'll show you about the coffee tomorrow. It's awesome. All right, if they're unsure, they're going to learn how to sell twice as many homemakers. So normally you'll sell 1 out of 10. If you ask this question, you're going to sell 2 out of 10. This is a big deal. It's called a knee-jerk reaction. We are preconditioned, we are wired as human beings to say the word no before we say yes. Let me give you an example. You go to a restaurant, and you, as soon as you finish the meal, the waiter or waitress comes over and says, "Can I interest you in the what menu?" Dessert. Automatically you say what? No. As soon as they start walking away, though, what do you start thinking about? Dessert. Exactly, right? If they came back a minute later and they're like, "Have you reconsidered dessert?" You'd probably be like, "Yeah, let me get some cheesecake," right? So the thing is, it's a knee-jerk reaction. We say no when we want to say yes. Like, you walk into a store and the salesperson says, "Can I help you look for something?" And you're like, "Nope." And then you sit there and you're like, "I have no idea what I'm doing," right? So we say no when we want to say yes. A lot of times, customers will say no on the homemaker even when they want to say yes because it's a knee-jerk reaction. By the way, knee-jerk is like in the doctor's office. It's like they tap you. It's the auto response. That's just, you can't help it. You kick. Okay, so well, at least if you have legs and nerve endings. But anyway, so so you're going to ask this question. No matter what, if they say no or if they're unsure, you're going to say, "If you don't mind me asking, what is it about the homemaker you're unsure of?" It's a simple question, right? Now, if they still say no, which most people will still say no, this is really powerful because it tells you why they didn't want the homemaker. So when you drop down to the galley set, you know what to focus on. So if Noah's customer says no to the homemaker because it's too much money, when he goes to the galley set, he's going to focus on the fact that it's a lower what? Price. But if they said the homemaker is just too big, then he's going to focus on the fact that it's a smaller what? So it helps you understand why your customer didn't like the homemaker. That way you can cater to them as you're dropping down. So you have to ask this question to be able to be a better customer service rep, but also to make sure that it's really not the set they want, because a lot of customers, they'll buy the homemaker set after you ask this question. So if you say, "If you don't mind me asking, what is about the homemaker you're unsure of?" and they say it's too much what? Or "I can't afford it," you're going to say, "I completely what?" 12-12, go ahead and plug in 12-12 there. 12-12 is a lot all at what? That's why most of our customers split it up over 5 months interest what?
Free.
It would be only $264 a month, perfect. How does that what? What you're doing is you're reminding them of the 5-pay. And this is going to blow your mind. It's going to really annoy you, but Shane's going to have a customer this weekend that says no to the homemaker. He's going to say, if you don't mind, Mrs. Jones, what about the homemaker unsure of? She's going to say, it's way too much money. And he's going to read that exactly word for word, and she's going to say, oh, you should have told me I can do a 5-pay. And he's going to be like, I just said it like 30 seconds ago. Here's the thing. The 264 goes in one ear and out the other. What are they focusing on? When they say they can't afford it, they're saying they can't afford it, not 264, but what? Exactly. So you're just reminding them that 5-pay. Okay? If they say I need to think about it, you're going to say, I completely what? 12 is a lot of money to be what? To be what? That's why most of our customers take advantage of the 15-day what? Trial. If you don't love it after a few weeks, you can send it back and get a full what? On the 5-month plan, you can try it out for only, how does that what? Sound. So what's the best way of thinking about it? The best way to think about it is by actually what? Trying it out, actually using it. Exactly. I need to talk to my husband. If Mrs. Jones says, I need to talk to my husband, you say, I completely what? That's why most customers use the 15-day trial to make sure he really sees the what?
Value.
If he doesn't love it, send it back and get a full what?
Refund.
On the 5-month plan, you can both try it out for only, how does that what?
Sound.
Beautiful. It's too many what? Pieces. I completely what?
Understand.
At first, 10 pieces seems like what?
A lot.
However, after 15 days, if there's a piece, this is cool, you're gonna like this one. If there's a piece or a few pieces you're still unsure of, you can send them back and get refunded for just those pieces. How does that sound? Is that cool? Does that make them feel more comfortable trying out the set? So they'll just send back whatever pieces they don't want, they'll get refunded for those pieces. Do you think they send anything back?
No.
Never. But does it make them feel more comfortable trying it out?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If they say, can I buy just pieces? Star this one. Can I buy just pieces is the most popular thing. You're going to get this on almost every demo you do. It's the most popular thing for a customer to say. Can I buy just pieces? Of course you can. However, our sets are discounted, they're safer, and you're basically reminding them of why sets are better than pieces. If you don't mind, I'll show you our sets, and if none of them appeal to you, we can pick whatever pieces you want. Beautiful. And if they say, I definitely want to buy, but I want to buy when?
Later.
Call your manager right away. You're going to get a captain tomorrow. You're all going to be on different teams. You're going to get a captain. Your captains have these crazy deals and crazy specials they can do. So if you ever have a customer that's on the edge, it doesn't hurt to call. Just say, hey, let me just call my captain. Let me just see if there's anything we can do, because we will blow your mind with crazy deals that we can do. Because we want to hook grandma up. We want to hook mom and dad up with crazy deals this weekend. So if they're on the edge, they're like, I kind of like it, but I'm just not sure. Call your manager right away. We will get them the greatest deal possible. We're going to give them a deal they can't refuse. Mafia style. Cool? You guys feel good about this? You guys have just done a full presentation. That's the demo. As long as they buy homemakers, right? Thank you, Mike, for a good job. No, tomorrow we'll do the rest of the demo sets, that dropping down process, which is super easy. If they say no to the homemaker, it's like, no big deal. Let me show you the galley set. Here's the set. Here's the price. Do you like this one? Nope. Cool. Let me show you the smaller sets. And you just kind of go down the levels until they find what they're comfortable with. So I'll teach you how to do it tomorrow. And that's the rest of the demo. But as far as the most of the presentation, you've done it. You guys feel ready?
Yeah.
Can I teach you how to get paid? You guys want to make money?
Yeah.
Make some cash. When I asked most of you today, I was like, what are you most excited about? You're like, money. Like almost all of you were like, money. Nobody, I was so offended. Nobody was like, oh, experience and resume and building my future. And
I said
know
that
Ty-
and money.
Okay, good. You can have both. You can have both. All right, so let's talk about money. Let's talk about a lot of money. Turn to page 33. I want to teach you how to get paid. And we're going to talk about base pay, and then we're going to talk about commission pay. Talk about base pay and commission pay. And I'm going to talk about base pay first. Now, most of you will never even experience the base pay. A lot of our top reps, if you asked them what base pay was, they would be very confused. They wouldn't even know what it is. Because just based on average sales, you'll make more on commissions than you do on base pay. Even if you never sold a set, here's what's neat about the Cutco program. If you never sold a set and your average order was just $250, the normal average order for the company, ours is $385, but if yours was just $250 company average and you sold 6 out of 10 and you never sold a set, you would make way more on commissions than you do on base pay. in our office, it's, you might get base pay every once in a while if you have like that really tough week, like the Murphy's Law week. But what's great about the base pay is it's a safety net. So that way you know that there's a minimum that you can make, but almost all of you are going to make way more than that this weekend. But it's important to understand how it works just in case. Okay, so the base pay is $15 per appointment. An appointment takes about an hour. This weekend, though, it'll be about 90 minutes. Your average demo this weekend will be 90 minutes because you're showing grandma, and she's gonna want to like pinch your cheeks and tell you how great you look, and feed you, and she's gonna be like, you're too skinny. You got to eat more, right? That's what grandmas do, right? So it's gonna take about 90 minutes this weekend for your presentations, but in general, about an hour. Okay, so $15 per appointment. Now, in order for a demo to count as an appointment for the base pay, the customer has to be at least 30 years old. They have to be over 30 to count as a presentation. Now, you can sell to somebody under 30. Let's say like Kaylin's got a buddy who wants to buy one of the K-Bar knives. You'll make commissions off of any order you write up, but it doesn't count as a demo unless they're over 30. So if you have a friend that just wants to buy some knives for themselves or pocket knives and things like that, you can sell them, but just don't waste your time doing the full presentation. But for the base pay, they have to be over 30.
So does it count if you a couple where one of them?
Totally. That one's like 28, one's 32, like Cradle Robin. Yeah, totally. You can do that. Yeah, you guys get it, right? So if one is a little bit younger, one's older, that's fine. So 15 hours per appointment, they have to be over 30, and then they have to be working full time. So either husband or wife has to be working full time, or retired by choice. So like grandma and grandpa, it's totally fine if they're retired by choice. Everyone knows the difference between retired by choice and unemployed, right? Everybody gets that? Here's the thing, if somebody's out of work, if somebody's just in a tough position and they're out of work, don't show them because that's such a tease. Like that'd be the worst thing to do to somebody, be like, it's the greatest product ever, haha, you can't afford it. Like that's a jerk thing to do to somebody. So if somebody's not working right now, wait until they're on their feet, wait until later to show them because you don't want to be that person that's just teasing them. Retired is fine, grandmas are totally fine. So working full time, and then we only do one-on-one appointments by household. No group demos ever. Never, ever, 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 ever do a group presentation because you will not sell and not sell. And if you did sell, you would never sell anything more than like a piece or two. Because when people are in a group, nobody likes to show off their money in front of their friends. So let's say you have a group of like 3 or 4 ladies, and like let's say 2 or 3 of them would have bought a homemaker set. They're only going to buy 1 or 2 things because they don't want to embarrass their other friend if she can't afford as much as they can. So we never ever do group presentations, always one-on-one by household, okay? Never in groups. So those are the requirements for the base pay, pretty simple, pretty easy. Now let's say that I do 10 presentations during the week. At the end of, or let's say this weekend I do 10 presentations, I'm guaranteed at least how much? 150. I can't make any less. Even if I sold nothing, I've never had a rep in my entire career do 10 presentations and sell nothing. I've had 1 or 2 like try to like get one by, by the way, this hasn't happened in years. It's been like 4 or 5 years since I've had somebody try to like lie to me. What's the point? Like if you just did demos, you're gonna make a heck of a lot of money. But it's been a long time since I've had somebody try to get one by. But if you do 10 presentations, it's impossible. You have to threaten them to not buy, to not sell anything. Like it's that hard to not sell Cutco. So let's say that I do 5 presentations. So I do 15 appointments and I only do 5. Let's say I've got a super busy week, I'm still guaranteed 75. Now if I do 20 presentations during the week, I'm guaranteed 300. So it's $15 times the amount of presentations I do that week. That's my base pay, it's my guaranteed pay. Now the base pay cycle is Tuesday morning until Monday at midnight. So that's the cycle, Tuesday morning until Monday at midnight, and it starts over every Tuesday morning. Now this weekend, you start on Friday. Most jobs, when you start halfway through a pay cycle, what do they do to your first paycheck? They put it on your next one, right? You have to wait like 3 or 4 weeks. Everybody ever experienced that before? You wait like 3 or 4 weeks to get paid? You're gonna get your first paycheck a week from tomorrow, based on your first 4 days working. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's your first pay cycle. All of your orders are processed. The company processes everything Tuesday, Wednesday. Paychecks get sent out Thursday. It's in your account on a Friday morning. We do direct deposit, so money is in your account a week from tomorrow. You guys like that? Yeah. That way you can make it rain next weekend. All right. So Tuesday through Monday is the cycle, and this weekend, even though it's only a half week because you only have 4 days, you want to get a full paycheck even though it's only 4 days. That's why we work twice as hard for your first weekend and do twice as many demos. All right. So at the end of the week, it's how many appointments you do times 15. That's your base. Now we compare that to your commissions. So it's not each demo individually. It's as a whole on the weekly cycle. So if I did 10 presentations this weekend, I'm guaranteed $150. Now let's say on my commissions for that week, I did 10 appointments, guaranteed $150, I can't make any less, but let's say on my commissions that week, I only made, let's say I made $75 this weekend on commissions, guaranteed $150. I keep the $75 for myself, and the company automatically bumps me up with whatever's left over. So if I made $75, but I was guaranteed $150, how much are they gonna pay me? The other $75. That way my paycheck is for the $150. So whatever I don't make for myself, that's the company contribution. If I made $1, how much would they owe? $149. Good math majors here. You guys are solid. If I made $149, how much do they owe? $1. So whatever I don't make for myself, that's how much the company pays to make up the difference. So it's always a safety net, it's always there. Now what's neat is that it never goes away. So if Kyla has like a big week, like 3 weeks in a row of just massive commissions, and then there's that 1 week that like Murphy's Law happens where like everything goes wrong and she has a tough week with sales, the base pay is always there as a safety net, so it never goes away. So that way you're never like, Mom, if you don't buy, I don't eat. Okay, so you always have the base pay there. All right. So let's say you make more though. Let's say this weekend, let's say that Kyla does 10 presentations this weekend and she sells $4,000, okay? By the way, last week's group, we had like a third of the group sold $4,000 in their first weekend. But let's say that Kyla sells $4,000, she makes $700 in income. Is she worried about the base pay? What does she keep? $700. Does the company owe her anything that week? No. So if you make more, you keep the more side. So it's whichever one's higher. Now, very rarely will the commissions be lower than the base, but it's always there as a safety net. So if you have that tough weekend, it's right there as a fallback. Okay. So let's talk about commissions though. Oh, by the way, how do we keep track of appointments? We've got this thing called a presentation report. It's a very fancy term. It's a presentation report, and you just fill it out once a week. It's just a form that shows your appointment times and the details of your appointment. We turn that in. That's how we calculate the base pay. So we just keep track of that. I'll show you that form tomorrow. It's very, very simple. Now, on the commissions, there's a chart on page 33. So a chart on page 33, and when you first start, you're at $1,000, or excuse me, you're at 10%. You're at 10% from zero in sales up until $1,000 in sales. You're at 10% from 0 to 1,000. Once you've hit $1,000 in sales, what's 10% of 1,000? $100. You guys are gonna do very well in college. Okay, $100. What was my promise to you this morning? I told you my promise is for everybody in here to make a minimum of what? $100. A minimum of $100. Here's how. Because even if you totally bomb in sales, you're going to be guaranteed to make $100 because of the expectations you have. But even on the commissions, as long as you hit your first promotion, $1,000 in sales, you made $100 in income this weekend. So if you hit 1,000, now you can hit that very simply by just selling a homemaker tomorrow night with your first presentation. You're doing your first hour, okay? But what's the average order for Cutco? Company average? Ours is $385, but what's the company average? Do you remember? $250. So actually, by the way, we've always used $250 because it's easier to do math. The actual company average is $320 right now. So like the national average is $320. I just say $250 because it's easier to divide like things by $250 than it is $320 because I'm not a math guy. So realize that it is a little bit higher, but we're just going to use this for simplicity's sake. Also, if we err on the side of caution, if we use this as our average and we break down our numbers, it forces you to do more appointments than you really need to hit your goal. So if you do more appointments, you're going to sell more and you're going to make more, and you can blame me for making too much money. All right, so you can yell at me all you want. All right, so company average $250, so it takes the average rep 4 sales to hit the first promotion. Now you can do it in a homemaker on your first demo. We got Connor Dunlop right above Jake's head there. It's a guy named Connor, and Connor in his first presentation sold $4,000 in his first demo. It was to his grandma. She's like, I want everything. And she bought the ultimate set, she bought the cookware, and Connor hit 2 promotions and made $700 in 1 appointment. So that's definitely possible too, as long as you show your best what? That's fine. Okay, but for average sales. Is it also possible that Kaylee's gonna show all Cutco owners that already have a big set and they all just buy like 1 or 2 pieces to add to their collection? Is that possible too? So it might take her 6 or 7 or 8 sales to hit that first promotion, but on average it's 4, okay? So does everybody buy? No, most do, but not everybody does. The company average is 60%, ours is more, but we're gonna use company average to err on the side of caution. That means it takes the average rep 6 or 7 appointments to hit $1,000 in sales. Which number do you think we use because we're super cautious? 7. I'll give you another chance. 7. All right, so 7 appointments. That's the rule of thumb. 7 appointments equals $1,000 in sales. In our office, it's like 4 or 5, but we're going to use 7. Again, we want to be safe and we want to guarantee results. Okay? I want to under-promise and over-deliver for you guys for your paychecks and your sales results. So 7 for every 1,000. Now, is there a chance that some people could reschedule and cancel on you? There's a very strong possibility that you're going to have at least 1 or 2 people reschedule on you. So our minimum, who remembers the minimum number of demos for this weekend? Like the minimum assignment that you have to do? 10. The reason why 10 is the minimum, absolute minimum, is because as long as you schedule 10, even if 3 of them reschedule, which is unlikely, but even if 3 reschedule on you, you still complete 7, and as long as you complete 7, you're guaranteed to sell how much? Even if you totally bomb though, 7 times 15 is 105. So as long as you completed 7, you're guaranteed to make $100 this weekend. So that's why when I promised you that nobody in here is going to make less than $100 this weekend, it's because just based on averages, you're going to sell that. But here's the thing, if you schedule 10 appointments, and all 10 of them go through, and as long as you showed your best 5, could you sell 2 or 3 homemakers this weekend? Most likely you will. You're probably going to hit your second promotion. So the average sales in our office for the first weekend is over $2,000. The past couple weeks, it's actually been about $3,000. The average rep has sold about $3,000, and I would say about a third of the group, and some groups that we've had this summer, almost half the group has hit 2 promotions in their first weekend. We've had 13 reps hit their 3rd promotion their first weekend. It's all about showing your best customers first, but hitting the minimums with number of demos as well. Okay, so 10's the minimum. Does everyone understand why that's the minimum? Let's say you've got a busy weekend. Let's say you have another job and you have a super busy weekend. If you don't feel like you have enough room for 10, no big deal. Don't worry, you're not going to get fired. Now, you heard a couple people say that they only did like 8 or 9 because they just didn't have the time. And we've even had some reps that do like 5 or 6 because they were like here for a day or 2 and then they went out of town. And that's fine. So we'll make a plan that works for you. But as long as you're here for the whole weekend and you've got enough time to do 10, that's the minimum. Because I want you to make at least $100. Now, once you hit that first promotion, you get bumped up to 15%. It changes over automatically at the dollar. So if you're at $999 in sales and you have a $500 order, $1 is at 10%, the rest of that order is at 15%. So it immediately changes over. So when Connor sold that $4,000 order, he made 10, 15, and 20% on that one order, okay? So you're at 15% from $1,000 to $3,000. Once you've sold $3,000, you've made a total of $400 in income. Anybody interested in that this weekend? Okay, so here's how you do that this weekend. If you want to make $400 by Monday night, 3,000 divided by 250, again, we're going to use company averages to be safe. That's 12 sales divided by 60%, that's 20 appointments. So if you maxed it out, you went baller style, you're guaranteed, no matter what, to hit $400 in income this weekend. Now in our office, usually 12 to 15 appointments will hit that promotion, we'll knock it out. Now listen, some reps do it in their first demo. Some people, we have a couple reps who sold multiple sets on their first presentation. We had I'm trying to think, this summer who, Brian New. We had a guy, Brian New, had like sold $5,000 in his first night, and then he sold $4,000 the next day. He was at $9,000 by noon on Saturday. Okay, so you could set your best customers first, and you can sell a lot more. Like Coop, you're friends with Coop, right? So Coop, he sold $3 or $4 grand on his first night. So if you set your customers up, if you set your best customers first, you'll blow these out of the water, but this will guarantee it. Now some of you are like, Drew, come on, I'm just here for part-time. Like I'm here because my mom said, get off your butt, get out of bed and go get a job, right? So I get that some of you are here just because you want to get some experience, you want to make a little bit here and there. Over the course of your fast start, 10 days, would $400 be pretty exciting income in 10 days? Totally. It's more than any other job. So 10 days, 20 appointments, how many appointments is that per day? 2 a day. So as long as you do 2 appointments a day in your fast start, you're guaranteed to knock out 2 promotions and make $400 in income. So if you're just here just like I just want to do this part-time. Like these big numbers, yeah, that sounds cool, but I just want to do it at my own pace and be a little bit more relaxed. Totally fine. 2 appointments a day for 10 days that will guarantee you $400 in income and 2 promotions. By the way, I will never judge you for your goals. If Shane says to me, he's like, Drew, this job's really cool, but I just want to kind of take it easy and just do a more relaxed schedule, awesome. The whole point of this job is to get the value that you want. I'm never going to put goals for you. I'm just going to help you hit your goals. So if Shane says, that'd be cool to hit that in my first 10 days, I'll make a plan with him to get there. Now, if Joe says, I want to hit that like tomorrow night, I'll make a plan for him to get there too. So whatever your goals are, don't feel pressure that you have to go after these big numbers. It's just fun to see what's possible. Does that make sense for everybody? Okay. So once you hit $3,000 in sales, you're bumped up to 20%. 20% up until you hit $6,000. Once you've hit $6,000 in sales, you've made $1,000 in income. I know it's sloppy here, but it's in the chart in your manual. You've made $6,000 in sales. You've made $1,000 in income. Anybody interested in $1,000 in income a week and a half from tomorrow? What would your bank account look like if you had $1,000 more in a week and a half from tomorrow? $1,000? Yeah. Okay. So you make $1,000 in income in 10 days. Here's how that breaks down. It's twice as much in sales, so it's twice as much, twice as much in demos, right? So it's just doubling these. So 40 is the magic number. Company-wide, 40 is the magic number. As long as you do 40 appointments in your first 10 days, as long as you do 40 appointments in your first 10 days, you're guaranteed, no matter what, 100% you're going to make at least $1,000 because 40 demos guarantees $6,000 in sales. In your fast start, your first 10 days, how many appointments is that per day? 4 per day. Now, if you like to sleep in, you can sleep until noon. You could do a 1, 3, 5, and 7. And you can make $1,000 by sleeping until noon every day. Is that pretty awesome? Or if you're an early riser, who's an early riser like me? You like to wake up early? 8, 10, 12, and 2. You have the rest of your day off. Right? So 4 appointments is not a maxed out schedule, and 40 demos will guarantee it. Now, here's the neat thing. I've never had a rep complete 40 demos in their first 10 days and sell less than 10,000. Even though this guarantees 6, we've never had a rep do 40 appointments in their first 10 days and sell less than 10. So if you want to get your face on that back wall, if you want to make $2,000 in income in 10 days, it takes 4 demos a day minimum. And if you do 4 demos a day, you're guaranteed to hit that for our office. That's not company average, that's our average in our office. But 4 demos a day will hit that. Okay. We've had 13 reps this summer who have hit $6,000 or more in their first weekend. Now, do they do 40 appointments? No, it's impossible. Most of the people who sold $6,000 and they made $1,000 in income in their first weekend, they did right around 13, 14, 15 appointments, but they showed their best what? 5. Because think about it, if your best 5, you would think that 3 out of your best 5 could probably swing a homemaker set. That's half that goal right there, right? So, and if you showed your best 5 and you did 15 appointments, it's not unreasonable to think that you could sell $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in sales this week. As long as you're confident, you show your best customers. Okay. All right. So once you hit $10,000 in sales, I'm going to break down for you the $2,000 income level because my minimum for you is to make at least $2,000 this summer before you leave for school. Some of you will hit it right away. Several of you will get your face up on that back wall. But no matter what, even if you're super part-time, the minimum is I want everyone in here to make $2,000 before school starts. Is that a reasonable expectation? Okay. So $10,000 in sales, we call this Dirty 30. Okay, Dirty 30, you get a cool hat for hitting Dirty 30. There's the hat over there. You get the cool Dirty 30 hat. Also, you get a free trip to Waterworld at the end of the summer on August 11th before you leave for school. So we do a big team party for everyone that hits Dirty 30. And whatever Vector does, we do it big. Somebody's not making it out alive. It's going to be a blast there. But the $10,000 is a Dirty 30 level. Here's what's neat about Dirty 30. Once you hit $10,000 in sales, once you're at 30%, you can work a part-time schedule and make full-time income. So imagine working your tail off for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, some of you maybe even shorter, but you work hard for 3, 4 weeks, you hit that level, and then the rest of the summer, the last 3 or 4 weeks of the summer, you work super part-time, you do like 1 or 2 demos in the afternoon. Okay, you sleep in, you do 1 or 2 demos in the afternoon, you go to the pool for a couple hours, then you do 1 or 2 demos in the afternoon, and then you have the night off, you hang out with your friends, and then afterwards, like you just have the easiest job. You work for like 2 hours a day maximum. Like max, you're working 2 hours a day, but you sell $1,000 a week, and you make $300 in income for the week, which is more than all your friends make working the entire week, 30, 40 hours, like delivering pizza or doing their jobs that they absolutely hate. Some of you are like, yeah, that's my current job. All right, so that's the key, is getting to that level as quickly as you can. Guys, this is Brady Lefebvre, and Brady is one of our top reps. He started the spring campaign, started in March.
Yep.
Started in March, around his high school schedule, right before he graduated. What's your favorite thing about the job?
Flexibility for sure, just because you get to, work whenever you want, and then make bank.
Yeah, and Brady just graduated from Valor High School. Where are you going to school in the fall?
CSU.
Going to CSU in the fall. Any Rams in here? Any CSU? Yep, so you're going to CSU in the fall. And your fast start, you were working around your high school schedule. You also had your sports schedule. How much did you sell at your fast start? Remember?
About 8K.
8,000. That was in school full time until 3 o'clock every day, also with sports. And you started on a Sunday. You didn't even start on a Friday. You started on a Sunday.
Yes.
So you had like a half of a fast start,
Yeah.
and you still sold 8,000, made $1,600 in income. What were the keys to you selling so much in your fast start?
Mostly focusing on your top 5 at all times. Other than that, literally just doing as many demos as you can, because better chance you have, or more demos you have, better chance you have, the better.
Who surprised you the most? Like you didn't think was going to buy a lot, but they bought big.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend's parents, I went over there, and, went over there, and she's like, not really happy with me, obviously, and then ends up buying a Siggy. So.
Did you buy a signature set? Cool. And you just had, this week, what did you sell this past week?
Like 2K, a little under.
Right, $2,000 in sales. Now he's already at 30%. You're almost at 35. You just
Oh,
hit,
not 30, yeah.
oh, he just hit his $20,000 promotion. So he's at $20,000 in sales, and this past week he sold $2,000. So he made $600 in income. Like what other job? Like how many hours at a normal job does it take to make $600? That's like 60 or 70 hours of work at another job. And how many appointments did you do last week? 10 appointments. He did 10 appointments. That's like 60 or 70 hours of a job that you hate, the money that you made in just 10 appointments here. And you're sitting at the kitchen table, hanging out with Mrs. Jones.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, what do you cut in your presentations?
I always do 5 for usually like a potato, carrot, apple, orange, and then like a big thing like a pineapple or one of those mini watermelon things.
And when you do your demos, do you make up your own thing or just follow the script?
Follow the script, look for it
Perfectly every time?
every time.
Yeah. And have you ever tried to go off the script?
Yeah.
What happens?
Didn't work out so well.
So make sure you follow the script. And any other advice, getting the most out of this weekend? They're going to be making their phone calls later.
Okay.
What advice would you give?
For phone calls or just in general?
Yeah.
For phone calls, smile, be really happy, and the sale in the demo starts with the phone call. Other than that, some good advice would be really put in the work now, because you're really right when you say, like, you work now, you'll be making just as much later and working half as hard. So.
Awesome. Good. Let's give Brady a round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Lefebvre. He seems like a super high-pressure salesperson, too, doesn't he? Yeah. All right, so Dirty 30. Once you hit Dirty 30, you can work part-time and make full-time income. You made $2,000 in income. So let's break down those numbers. So $10,000 in sales. When you do more appointments, you get better at the job. So we're going to use that 6 number. So 6 demos for every 1,000 at this point. So 10,000, okay, it's $1,000 per 6 for every 1,000. That's 60 appointments. It takes the average rep in the company 60 appointments at $10,000 in sales. In our office, a lot less. If you look at the plaques on the back wall, those are reps who hit $10,000 in sales in their first 10 days. We've got about 50 in our office that have done it. So if you look at those plaques, the average number of appointments, none of them say 60, right? Most of them say like 25, 30. Some of them, like Brian New, he did 9 appointments and sold $10,000. Like that's just stupid. Like that just doesn't, that's not even fair. He showed his best customers first, obviously, right? So we had Jackson Duncan hit $12,000 in his first weekend. And it's because he showed his best customers. So 60 is what says the company average says. In our office, it's usually about 40 that hits 10,000. But even if we use 60, there are 8 weeks left before school for most of us, right? So 8 weeks is when most of us leave for school. Not me, I'm not in school. But for most of you guys, you leave for school in about 8 weeks. So that is 2 months. 2 months is how many days? 60 days. So here's what's awesome about this job. Let's say you're thinking, dude, I'd love to make $2 grand before school starts. 1 a day. You do 1 demo a day for the rest of the summer, and you're gonna make $2 grand, just based on the averages. Now, if you're like, who's like, this is awesome. This is You know, if you do that, if you're thinking that's really cool, in your fast start though, you got to do what? Twice as hard. So if you're thinking this is cool, do at least 2 demos a day in your fast start because you got the prizes and you want momentum. So work twice as hard. So if you want to make $2,000 this summer, 1 demo a day, okay, minimum. Now, in your first weekend though, we're going to blow it up because you want to get off to that fast start. You want to build that momentum. That way it becomes easier later. Now let's say you want to make that in a month. Anybody interested in $2,000 in a month? $2,000 income 1 month? That's pretty awesome income. Math. 60 divided by 30 days is how many demos per day? 2 demos per day, right? So this month, if you do 2 demos a day for the next month, you're gonna make $2,000 in a month. Now, if you're thinking, who thinks that's pretty awesome? Like 2 demos, like, and by the way, when I say demos per day, if there's a day or 2 that you can't do any, just put them in more in the days that you can, right? Like if there's 2 or 3 days of the week that you can't do appointments, pick a couple days where you do 3 or 4. So it doesn't have to be an average, like every single day. This is just an average, just so you can get, you know, grip your mind around it. So 2 demos a day. Over the course of a month, you'll make $2,000 in income. Now, if you're going to do 2 demos a day in your fast start, how many should you do? How many? 4. Because we're going to work twice as hard to build that momentum and build those referrals too. All right, is this helping? Does this help put in perspective? And if you want to do it in your fast start, how many do you need to do per day, minimum? 4. Now, because some people reschedule, how many should you book? How many should you schedule? 5. If you book 5 a day, and even with 1 reschedules, you complete 4 a day, you're going to get your picture on that wall forever. That's just how it works. There's no magic trick, right? Somebody's like, you're like, well, how do you sell somebody? Just do more appointments. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, how talented you are, what neighborhood you live in, or what your parents do for a living. It doesn't matter. The more appointments you do, the more you're going to sell. That's all that matters from Chicago. All right? Is this helpful to figure out? Anybody interested in making $5,000 this summer? All right, so $5,000 is $20,000 in sales. So if you sell $20,000 before you leave for school, you've made $5,000 in income, and you've hit your 35% promotion. But $20,000 in sales, 20 times 6 is 120. It's 120 appointments. 120 appointments over the next 60 days. That's 2 demos a day for the whole summer. If you do 2 demos a day for the whole summer, for the rest of the time before you leave for school, you'll make $5,000. But it's got to be consistent, right? 2 demos a day, every day for the rest of the summer, you'll make $5,000. If you're going to do that in your fast start, how many should you do? 4. So if you do 4 demos a day for your fast start, and then 2 demos a day after that, you're going to make $5,000 this summer. All right? Hopefully that puts in perspective and gives you a little bit of an idea of how much you want to do this, or how many appointments you want to do. But in your fast start this weekend, I want you to blow it out of the water. I want you to be so exhausted. Like every single person I've introduced has said, do a lot of appointments, go after and work hard. This weekend, I want you to think about quitting at least 4 times. If you don't think about quitting at least 4 times this weekend, it means you're not doing enough appointments. You got to push yourself to the max. I want it to be overwhelming. Anytime you have a blank spot in your schedule, you want to fill it in because these fast start prizes that I'm about to tell you are going to blow your mind. You want to take advantage of those. I don't want you to have any regret. I don't want you to look back and say, I wish I did more. I want you to really take advantage of it. Is it going to be tiring? For sure it's going to be tiring. It's going to be exhausting for some of you. You're going to hit your pillow at the end of the night and you're going to be out like a light. But that's the point of your fast start, is to push yourself to the max and go full capacity. Even if this job is part-time for you, like, and you're just doing it just for a couple extra bucks here and there, this weekend, at least try it out just to go like full force. And for like, if you could do like 3 or 4 days full force, the rest of the summer will be a breeze, because once you start doing, let's say even just this weekend, you max it out, then starting on Tuesday, you do like your 1 or 2 demos a day, totally fine. But think about how much easier it's going to be to do the 1 or 2 demos a day once you're already at 15% or 20% or 25%. You guys feel me on that? So I'm totally fine with you doing super part-time, but just force yourself to do a little bit more this weekend, as much as you can. Now, don't be overwhelmed. I don't want you to freak out and have an anxiety attack, but do as much as you possibly can this weekend, because I want you to take advantage of your opportunity. Deal? All right. And if you're totally freaked out, just talk to me one-on-one and be like, I don't know if I can do all that. We'll make a plan that works for you. Some of our best reps are our most shy reps. Like that girl, Jasmine, she didn't say a word in training to me, and she was looking at me like I was, a ghost. And now she's at like $8,000 in sales.